Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Tiff with Journal with Tiff, and today I wanted to look at inks that are inspired by, of course, Valentine's Day. All of them will not be 100% pure pink inks, not the traditional pink colors, and also not punchy, in-your-face, bright colors. I was kind of looking for colors that are more muted, that are more calming, that I personally associate with like just a romantic, calming type of vibe. So we will be using my Hobonichi Day Free, and this does have Tomoe River paper, and I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that when it comes to some of these inks, especially some of the chromo shading inks or whatever, they're going to look different depending on the paper that you use. I have tested some inks and they look the same across different papers, and other inks look 100% different. So yeah, you want to be mindful of the paper that you use when you're looking for particular colors, especially if they are chromo shaders. Others, if they are chameleon inks, meaning depending on the maybe the type of shimmer, they can have different shading properties. Depending on the light, they may look different, but these are my picks for some great inks for that Valentine's Day vibe. First, I have Masquerade. This is from the 2023 Diamond Ink Vent Calendar, and it is a shimmer ink. So we're going to make sure we shake that up really good. I'm just going to use a little dropper here. It does not take much. This is a beautiful color. I will be swatching with my glass dip pen, and I cannot remember the exact name of this pen. Is it written on Fonte? There is. It's written right on the band there. And I got this from Yoseka. And I like the fact that it comes with a cap. This is definitely a dusty pink. And I really love a dusty pink or a pinky brown. And it does have kind of a gold copper type shimmer. Of course, these are going to look much different once they are dried, and we will definitely get a closer look. Next is another ink from the Ink Vent Calendar this year, excuse me, not this year, but 2023, and it is Cashmere Rose. Sorry if the light is glaring on that. This is a standard ink, so no shimmer, so no need to, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. No shimmer, so there is no need to agitate. And this one is not quite as dusty. It leans way more pink than the Masquerade. I personally like, it's gonna sound weird, but I personally like more of the non-pinky pinks, if that makes sense. I enjoy dusty pinks, pinky browns, pink mixed with lavender, but this is not too pink. Sorry about the little blip there. But yeah, so that's Cashmere Rose. Next, I have Venta Isabella. This is another dusty pink with copper gold shimmer. And I will admit, one thing I enjoy about doing swatches is keeping in mind, let's get more in frame here, that the swatch is going to look different from when you're writing it. So I see here where that swatch is very light, but in the writing sample, not quite so much. That is Venta Isabella. Next, I have Ferris Wheel Press Lady Rose. This is not a shimmer ink, and not to be confused with Lady Rose in Gold. Basically, Lady Rose in Gold, oh crap, okay, oh well. Lady Rose in Gold is Lady Rose with gold shimmer added. It was a limited special edition that I did not get the pleasure of using, but if you were to get, say, just some glitter to add to your Lady Rose, you would basically have the same effect. And I have that little splotch there. Let's make sure we can get around it. Leave it to me to make a mess. So there is no shimmer, that is just a flat standard color Ferris Wheel Press Lady Rose. Now I have some that are not necessarily pinky. Here I have Gill Donkeyote. A little bit more than that in the swatch. Here we go. I'm getting ahead of myself here, which is why I had that little blip earlier, but it's okay. And I'm trying to make larger swatches just so we can see it really well. Donkeyote. So as you can see, the writing sample is much darker than the swatch once again, but it is a beautiful lavender rose mix. Gorgeous, gorgeous color. And there is no shimmer or sheen on this. It is a flat standard color as well. Now I have Gill White Rabbit. There is no sheen in this. This is more of I think the description for White Rabbit is a pale pink and tan brown mix, but it comes out super light. I'm not exactly sure how well this will be writing for some people. It really will, in my opinion, depend on the size of your nib, because it can be super light. And that is Gill White Rabbit. Next is Ferris Wheel Press Blushing Mushroom. This is such a unique and distinct ink. Sorry about that. It does have shimmer. It actually has different shades of shimmer in it. There is silver and gold, blue and green, according to the description. So it can come out looking just really different at times. When I look at this, I mainly see more of the lavender color than anything else, but the shimmer on top is what really gives it its pop. And last but not least, this is Sar Kitsun Bor. This is one of my favorite inks, and I think it's because it's so distinct, it's so unique. Really depending on the paper, gosh, I can't. Sometimes it looks taupe to me, sometimes it looks pinky brown to me. It just really depends. It depends on your nib, like the thickness of your nib, I would say, of how much ink is being put on the paper and the type of paper that you are using. A little bit more ink. Okay, so I'm going to let these dry down and we'll come back and have a more close-up, a little bit more Valentine-y, intimate view of all of the inks. Be right back. And I am back. I believe the bulk of these are pretty dry, so let's get a little bit closer of a look. First was Diamond Masquerade. Such a pretty dusty pink that has a little bit of brown shading in it as well. The shimmer on top is basically copper and gold. I feel like this is such a calming color. I have used this a lot in my journaling. It has medium shading to it. You can see kind of like the purpley lavender undertones to it. Just lovely, lovely ink. Next was the Diamond from Diamond Ink Pen Cashmere Rose. It is a dusty pink, much more of a paler pink than Masquerade. It is a light to medium shader, and this is a standard ink, so there is no shimmer. Well, it says there's no shimmer, and this very well could have come off of my pen, the dropper earlier. Excuse me, I can't talk today. I saw just a little bit of shimmer, but if you look at the bottle, it says standard, so that could just be a little leftover on my end. Next is Venta, and it is Isabella. One thing I thought that was really cool, that the actual name of this ink is Venta Liquid Sepia Isabella 1999 from the Awareness Project. That is a name, but it is such a beautiful pastel pink. It is so nice with gold shimmer, and if you can see from the lettering there, if I can get the right angle, there we go. There you see a really good shot of the gold shimmer on top of this beautiful pale pink. Next is Ferris Wheel Press Lady Rose. This is a flat ink, no shimmer, no sheen. It is a shader, I would say a medium shader, but it is a beautiful dusty rose, and it's just gorgeous. It's not in your face, it's not too bright, it's not too dark, just a lovely, lovely ink. Next is Gill Donkeyote. In the description of this, if you were to look up this ink, it is described as a reddish brown with gray undertones. I'll be honest, I do not see reddish brown in this ink here. I don't see it at all. I really see a dusty pink. I guess I could say that just visually, there's a little bit of brown just to give it a little bit more depth. But that is the description of it. Personally, I don't see brown in here. Not exactly sure how it's coming across on camera, but to me, it's almost like a pinky purple, leaning more towards the pink side. Next is the Wearing Gill White Rabbit. This is from the Alice in Wonderland line. It's described as a pastel ivory brown. It's very low shading, a lot of pink hues. Definitely want to use a heavier nib so more ink comes out. Otherwise, it is super light. A fine nib probably wouldn't be the best excuse me, for writing with this ink, but for drawing or for using a larger nib, it is a gorgeous ink. Here is Ferris Wood Press Blushing Mushroom. This is a mauve blush duo per their site with rose gold shimmer. It has lovely shading. I have always enjoyed this ink whenever I use it. To me on camera, it's leaning more blue. In person, it is definitely leaning more toward the lavender purple side with rose gold shimmer. It is beautiful. And lastly, Sar Kitsun Bor. This is the ink that I sometimes I listed under miscellaneous. I really don't know what to term it. Depending on the paper that I use, sometimes it looks kind of like a dusty pink or pinky brown. Other time it has a taupe type look, like a grayish taupe type look to it. But it is from the Yurmeku line, and I just love it. And just so you know, this particular line, this particular ink is inspired by the sky as the weather is changing. And it's actually one thing I love about Sar and how they name their inks. It just, if you think about it, depending on the time of day, when you go from that dusty pink look in the sky to that grayish look in the sky, it is a perfect analogy for it. So it is such a lovely ink. If you've never tried it, please do. And that is all of my Valentine inspired inks. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to like, please, and subscribe. Feel free to leave any comments down below so we can chat about it. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.